Hey, Connected Life, Dr. Steve here. Of course, we are interested in your health and healing and dedicated to it. Today, we're going to speak to you about a session I had with a young gentleman who has a child where they lost their family pet. I'm going to show you kind of how we discussed about it, what we did, and maybe this can help you or someone that you know. So stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. And yes, this of course can be a bit of a somber subject, the loss of a pet. I remember when I lost a pet, it was one of the most, at the time, most heart-wrenching things. He was our first child, so it hurt and it stung. And I think there's just nothing else than, if you do have a pet, you know exactly what I mean. They're just amazing. So, as I was meeting with this young man, and he has a young child who's grieving with this loss of the pet. They had lost their pet a couple weeks ago, and they were struggling with. So I just said, so he was moving along in his healing process. He wanted to have a little more understanding of how to let go. That's what he was kind of wondering, and that's what he consulted with. It's like, okay, how do I let this go? How do I let this thing go? So I said, okay, well, if we're moving the system towards letting go, there's a few pieces that we need to identify. First, when we have the family pet or any person in our life, really what we tend to grieve is the things that we really admired, because the things that we really admired are the things that we really felt supported us. So there's these kind of admired characteristics, and I want you to know that the admired characteristics are what we've deemed as kind of supportive to our values and supportive to us. And so when I asked him, I said, well, what were these kind of what did you really admire about the dog? What did she really admire about it? And so, we rhymed off, I think it was 5 or 6 things that they really admired about the animal. And so essentially, when this gets pulled away through the process of death, when these traits go away, we get now in the process of grieving the loss of them. So we grieve the loss of these characteristics and traits, because our mind is hooked into knowing that these things are supporting us and supporting our values. And so essentially they're nourishing to us. And so when those go away, for lack of a better kind of example, if you're enjoying a great plate of food and someone just pulls it away from you, in the moment you're going to be sad about it, because it was really nourishing. And so those relationships in our life are very nourishing to us. So when they're pulled away, it's like pulling the nourishment away. And so we grieve the loss of those particular things we were admiring. They get pulled away. And so there's a law in thermodynamics called the first law of thermodynamics. And it states that energy is never created or destroyed, it only changes form. And so what I want you to consider as these specific characteristics, traits that we have in relationships, those are energy. So soft and fluffy hugs, or whatever it is, those are all energy. And so they're never destroyed. They're never gone. They're only changing form. And so what I encouraged him to do with himself and his daughter is to identify kind of what these forms that they really admired and thought were supportive and nourishing. And I said, okay, let's go make a list as to where your dog is now relative to these traits and these attributes and these characteristics. Who's demonstrating them and displaying them in the family? Where are they? Are they showing up in a stuffed animal? Are they showing up in other different supports and different energies in the home? And so we start and we just make a list of where essentially what you're asking is where are these new forms of energy emerging and showing up? As the physical kind of mortal body of the dog dies and ceases to kind of exist in its energy, okay, so that energy gets repackaged and repurposed. And so that energy is transferred in time and space, and now other things in the area begin to take on those characteristics because the energy isn't destroyed. It just changes form. And so we have them identify where this is going. And so what you're doing in your mind as you claim the transference of energy is you're rhyming off all the new support structures in your life. And then once I asked them that, I said, well, what's the value of this new support? Why is it valuable? Why is it important? So value and importance. And what does it mean to you to have this thing as the new energy that's emerging? And so what it does is it balances out the nervous system, because when the apparent support is ripped away, it's extremely stressful for your nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. So as we add these things back in, it actually stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. Every support that we're able to identify of where this energy is transferring stimulates this parasympathetic nervous system to rebalance the autonomic nervous system, to help to rebalance and put blood flow into the brain, take it out of that stress anxiety center and put it back into the cortex of the brain. So the grief literally can start to lift as we see the new support structures that are coming in. So this is a very simple kind of method and tool that I teach. I run a day-long program on it. But this is a simple example of how I coach somebody through the grief process and the reasons why I did it, because I know that his nervous system is off. He's perceiving that there's the lost energy and attributes and characteristics, and all I asked him to do is start to name off how it's changing in form and where it's showing up in their life and in their home, and I instructed him to do that with the kids. And then also, like, why with these new forms, why are they valuable? And so support, just stacking those on, and it's going to start to fill them back up, and they're going to feel nourished. And if they do it well, they'll start to feel the presence, even the presence of the animal again, because they are seeing and sensing the essence of the characteristics and the energy in their environment. And so they'll feel essentially like nothing's missing. It's just changing form. So that's a tool that I bring to many people when we perceive a loss, or we're grieving about something, or we're feeling sad about something. These are things, it's just knowing a principle of the first law of thermodynamics, and energy isn't created or destroyed, it just changes form. So our job when we're far along enough in the healing process is to identify where is that new form, because it's there. So we go in and we track it down and find it, and then all of a sudden our nervous system can become more balanced. We feel more at ease, more supported, more nourished, more fulfilled, and that's a huge part of the healing process. So, reach out to me if you have any questions about that. This is one of my big passions, helping people through the grief process. So hopefully this was helpful for you or someone that you love or someone in the family, and let me know if you need any assistance with that. And hopefully this was helpful. So we'll see you on the next video. Hey guys, Dr. Steve here. If you hate this channel, leave a nasty comment below and don't subscribe. But if you do like this content, I'd love for you to be able to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave a wonderful, inspiring comment below as to what you're learning. So we'll talk to you soon.